I think we can all agree one of the worst feelings ever is turning on TikTok and seeing a slideshow of a manga or a manhwa that is pure, concentrated liquid hype. And then you go to check it out, excited to delve into this, and it only has 10 chapters. However, today I'm going to be making an exception for the manhwa Killer Peter, which only at the moment right now has 6 chapters. Now, before this dissuades you, trust me, you're gonna want to check it out. And just to reel you in a little bit more, it's made by the creators of Unholy Blood. And if you've read Unholy Blood, you can understand why I'm so hyped for the rest of this manhwa. Because Unholy Blood is one of the best produced manhwas that have ever come out of this industry. With an incredibly gripping story, very enjoyable and likable characters, and incredible art that's consistent throughout. Do you want to hear a rumor? There is an existence in this world. Even the top armed groups around the world are afraid to death seeing it. Peter. But the surprising thing is that a killer like him is an elderly man in his 60s. A horde of men lay lifeless on the ground, and a man expecting death looks into the eyes of the man responsible for the slaughter and says he would have died a legend if he just died back then. Now he's being chased down by thousands of killers. He lost all of the assets that he had saved up. Isn't that tragic? His loyalty to the organization, a legend like himself, is now being threatened by those who want to take his life. It's you, isn't it, Peter? But you see, no matter how much I think, it just doesn't make any sense. Thousands of eyes are watching you and are after your life, but how are you still alive? And how come no one has been able to find you? Even if you're the legendary Peter, it doesn't make sense. Peter retorts, do you want to know the answer? Even if thousands, no, even hundreds of thousands of eyes are watching my every move, you guys will never be able to find me. Because he lifts the mask covering his face. Unfortunately, the Peter you guys are looking for is now. We don't know what he says, but the man has a shocked expression on his face and says, no way, that's impossible. Peter's, it's impossible. Peter places an unlit cigarette on his lips and raises a gun with a silencer towards the horrified man. Peter's face is shrouded in darkness. 3 months prior, an elderly Peter is listening to his voicemail with a pile of pills in his hand. The man speaking in the voicemail states that Peter, if he remain untreated, will die in less than 3 months, from which we can only assume is cancer. A pretty young female student walks into the bookstore that Peter owns, looking to buy some middle school textbooks. Peter turns around to face the girl with a beaming smile on his face saying, welcome, we sell every book we have here, except for the ones we don't. The girl states that the book she wants is actually for her younger brother. Peter responds, is that so? You're a student from that high school, right? Yes, she retorts. Judging by your name tag color, you're a senior. The girl, bewildered, says, that's correct. How do you know so much? I know everything in this neighborhood. Peter pulls out a stack of brand new, freshly sealed books. The girl says that's not what she asked for. She wished for second-hand books, as she can't afford the new ones. Peter assures her that he doesn't need them anymore, so he'll just give them to her. The student still resists his generosity. However, Peter rips the seal off the books and offers her a warm smile and says cheekily, here, these are now used, right? I just know how much you adore your younger sibling, just by the look in your eyes. So be good to them while you still can, or else you'll regret it. Mister, have you ever regretted something before, she asks? Peter tightens his grip on some yellow tape and begins to reminisce. The longer you live, the more regrets you have. However, you can never do anything about the things in the past that you regret. You probably won't know what I'm saying, so always take care of your sibling. Don't do anything you'll regret later on, and just turn back and go. I won't kill you if you do. The student stops in her tracks, standing atop a counter with a knife raised, aimed at the elderly Peter. How did he know? The student thinks to herself. I've memorized the faces of every single student from that high school, but I still had to make sure just in case. You said you're a senior, yeah? It's a pity. That school was only built 2 years ago. She realizes that she's wrapped around his fingers. The final nail in the coffin is that I've spent my whole life smelling the scent of blood. Did you really think you could cover up the scent of a knife with a poorly made perfume? The student resumes her attack. She again is stopped in her tracks, not by any words, but simply by the elderly man's glare. I'm the one holding the knife, but why does it feel like I'll be the one to die? Just by making eye contact, the girl instinctively jumps back into a defensive stance. Take the books. I know the things you said about your younger brother are real. I've been doing this for 50 years. I can tell things by the look in somebody's eyes. You're from the Glory Orphanage like me, right? Their scripts still haven't changed at all. Suddenly, Peter leaps atop the girl to protect her from the men who burst in with guns and sinister smiles on their faces. If a mission fails, the volunteer too is to be neutralized. Peter has been shot through his stomach. Then he suddenly pulls out a gun and aims it at the intruders, who are now holding the young student at gunpoint. Peter is knocked off his feet by a mysterious man. Your reputation's the greatest, but it seems the legendary Peter himself is nothing. The mysterious man snidely remarks. This man is also known by the code name Eight-Legged Man. What is your reason for killing me? Asks Peter. Boss doesn't like you. Me? Why? If you step out of this world, thousands of chasers will be after your head. The water's already been spilled, because the bounty on your head is 7.6 billion won. Peter giggles to himself. That's funny, because that's exactly the same amount of money that I have in my bank account. That's right, it's the money you saved up for the entirety of your life by putting your life on the line. But now that money is going to be in someone else's hands. How fucking lucky of them, right? So, Senior Peter, please die by my hands. Peter is launched across the room by a punch. The men, suspecting him to be unconscious, approach. Peter lifts his head with a smile on his face. It's a small present, he says, as he throws a flashbang towards the intruders. The men burst into a panic as Peter is nowhere to be seen. In the pouring rain lies a defeated, injured and tired Peter, resting on a wall of a child's playground. I've gotten old. Peter reminisces once more on his life as a child raised in the organization. When others held a pencil in their hands, he bled 365 days a year to learn how to hold a knife. When others were learning how to use SNS networks, he learned how to wiretap and eavesdrop until his ears were bleeding. When others went on dates and learned love, he had become a Russian spy, living with frostbite 24/7. Or he would be fighting in the middle of a terrorist group to survive. He had worked with his life on the line for years. But the situation changed when the new boss took over. I can't die like this. Can't let them take my money. That money is... A vision of a young child appears before his eyes close for one last time. The men who attacked Peter are chatting away in a kitchen within the Eight-Legged Man's hideout. Suddenly their conversation is disrupted by a young man whose clothes seem to be almost bursting at the seams. I'm sorry, but you've come to the wrong place. I came here because I know everything. Stop wasting my time and take me to the Eight-Legged Man. The man raises his fist and swings, however his strike is stopped in its tracks as it's caught midway by the young man. He squeezes, breaking the very bones in the henchman's hand. The other tries to attack but is quelled in an instant. The young man grabs an octopus's leg and wraps it round his hand. The henchman leaps forward, however next thing he knows the tentacle is wrapped around his throat, and then he is launched across the kitchen right into a boiling vat of soup. Who are you? Why? This is the only picture you guys have of my face. The young man raises a photo with an elderly Peter on it. I, Peter, a man that was once called the best in the field, had become the younger version of me when I opened my eyes. Even if thousands of people die thousands of times and wake up, the old Peter they're looking for is already dead. Peter has rejuvenated. So if you guys like that quick basic summary of the beginning of Killer Peter, or Killer Pietro as it's called in some different platforms and translation sites, please like and subscribe, leave noties on if you want more recommendations like this one. Also, I've got to tell you, if you read this you can expect some incredible art, incredible fight scenes, and an incredible storyline that is entirely unique, unlike the fucking constant supply of reincarnation fucking martial arts manhwa that we're getting right now, or the fucking dungeon guy is the last hero alive and then suddenly is reincarnated 20 years prior before the fucking dungeons appear, and with all his knowledge becomes an even stronger hero and prevents all the crisis. You know what I'm talking about, we've all seen it 50 million times. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you whenever I see you next.